A very good morning to all of you, my dear friends. This is Shafiq Ahmed, and you're all welcome to your favorite YouTube channel. Let's learn together.
So, very good morning to all of you, my dear students. Welcome back to the class and even welcome back to the channel also. So, we are going to start another chapter of history. That is chapter number 4, Mughal Empire. And that really, they have ruled in India. They were in India around 300 years. So, we have to learn a lot about them, so we can't cover all those years what happened on those in those years, 300, more than 300 years. So what we will do, we will sum up the things. We will read only the major part from the chapter only. So the chapter has been designed in such a way only. So let us begin the chapter, the Mughal Empire. Who are the Mughals? We will deal all the things. I have many things for you all. I will show you some videos also regarding them. So let us start. So we all know that after Delhi Sultanate, after the end of the Delhi Sultanate in the year 1526, because the last dynasty which was there in the Delhi Sultanate was the Lodi dynasty, and Ibrahim Lodi was the head, or you can say was the king of that time in the Lodi dynasty. And Ibrahim Lodi was defeated by Babur, because Babur was invited by two men to defeat Ibrahim Lodi. Those two persons were thinking that they will be that Babur will defeat Ibrahim Lodi and go back to his place after defeating. But it really did not happened. You can see over here that was really the rise of the dynasty which ruled India from 1526 till the revolt of 1856. So that's why I was saying more than 300 years they have ruled in India. They were in India, this Mughal dynasty. And who really invited this Mughal dynasty? Let us see who were those persons. The real power of the Mughal dynasty began to decline after 1707. So they were in India till 1857, but the real power started declining. It started declining after 1707 with the death of his last emperor Aurangzeb. And the last emperor was Aurangzeb in the year 1707. So after his death, the Mughal dynasty started finishing off, or you can say started declining at that time. The Mughals ruled almost all over the India and left behind an administration. They have ruled in India throughout, and India was really was having a lot of lands at that time. And even Pakistan was not there, Bangladesh was not there. All were included in the same area. So the Mughals ruled not only in India at that time, it was also Pakistan, even Afghan, even that Bangladesh was also included. So the Mughals were ruling throughout India. So they have left a lot of things to learn, such as regarding their administration matter. We can learn a lot from them, how to administer a country, how to rule a country. And even legacy means the things that cannot be forgotten. कभी भी भूल नहीं सकते, ऐसा legacy उन्होंने छोड़ा है. They have left back that type of administration as well as legacy. Means they were the legend people that lasted even when their rule ended. Till now we are learning about the Mughal emperor. Why we are learning about them? Because we have to learn. My students will have to learn, you have to learn, I have to learn a lot of things from the Mughals, what they have ruled and how they have ruled, how they have controlled such a large country like India. Pakistan was included, even Bangladesh was included. So it was a really large country at that time when the Mughals were ruling and administrating our country. So we have to learn how they have controlled such a big country. So that is why this chapter is over here in our syllabus. They impose structures of administrations, even ideas of governance that outlasted their rule. You can see we can learn a lot of things from the structures like Red Fort, like Taj Mahal. We can learn a lot of things from them. Even Aurangzeb, even different rulers of Mughal dynasty, they have created a lot of structures also, even structures for administration purpose also. Like nowadays we have DM office, we have Prime Minister office also. So likewise they have constructed administration structures, administration offices also. and their idea of governing a country, of ruling a country, is really outstanding. We can learn a lot of things from their ideas. We can take their ideas, and let me tell you in one line, my dear students, that let me tell you in one line that we are following the Mughals now also. We are learning and we have implemented, we have changed the names of different things, but we are doing the same thing in our country like the Mughals were doing. So that I will prove it in the later part of the chapter, that how why I am saying like this one, that we are still following the administrative policies of the Mughals. So how, I will tell you later in the part of the chapter. That will really be proved. So leaving a political legacy also. So they have left a lot of things that we can learn politically also. How to do politics, how to do politically, how to manage politically. That's the succeeding rulers of the subcontinent could not ignore, which cannot be ignored, which cannot be forgotten. These their administrative ideas, their way of governing a country, the way of learning, the way of ruling a country, and the way how they deal with the political issues also. There are a lot of things to learn from them, and we can't ignore them. We can't forget them. That is the thing. Hope you remember this one. Every year the Prime Minister of India addresses the nation on Independence Day from the ramparts, means from the stage of the Red Fort in Delhi. And you might be knowing that Red Fort was built during the Mughal dynasty, towards the during the Mughal Empire only. The residents of the Mughal emperors were living in that Red Fort. So nowadays we Indians are using that Red Fort to address the nation. The Prime Minister of our country used to address the nation on every Independence Day every year from Red Fort in Delhi, which was earlier the residence of the Mughal emperors. So a lot of thing to learn, my dear students, a lot of thing really. So this chapter is quite interesting. Even Nepal was also there in India. It was included in India. So really a lot of thing to learn. So let us continue, my dear students. Let us continue to the next slide. Who were the Mughals? So I have a video also to show you all. So I'm going to play that video because we have very less time. So who were the Mughals? You will get the answers, and later on I will explain it also. So let me start the screen sharing as well as sharing computer sound also. Yeah. So let me start that video. Hope you will all like the video. That is the Mughals. Oh my God.
The Mughal dynasty laid its foundation in India in the early 16th century. The dynasty started with the coming of the first ruler, Babur, who crossed Afghanistan and reached the Punjab plains in 1526 AD. Babur was born in Farghana in 1483 and ascended the throne at a very young age. He defeated Ibrahim Lodi in the first battle of Panipat. Babur was succeeded by his son Humayun in 1530. He divided his inheritance equally among his brothers, according to the will of his father. He started the construction of the Purana Killa, but could not finish it. Humayun was defeated by Sher Shah Suri and had to flee to Iran. He died in 1556 due to an accident on the staircase. Humayun was succeeded by his very young son Akbar in the same year. Akbar expanded the kingdom from Kabul to Bengal. He built the walled city of Fatehpur Sikri in 1571. The Navratans, or the 9 courtiers, found an important place in Akbar's court. Akbar started the new religion, Deen-e-Ilahi. Jahangir succeeded the throne after Akbar in 1605. He was the first emperor to open relations with the British East India Company in India. His empress, Begum Noor Jahan, was the real power behind the throne. Shah Jahan was Jahangir's third son, who was born in Lahore in 1592. He was a great connoisseur of art and architecture, building monuments like the Taj Mahal, the Jama Masjid, and the beautiful Shalimar Gardens in Srinagar. The majestic peacock throne is also from his time. Aurangzeb was the last emperor who sat on the Mughal throne in 1658. He was an autocratic ruler who was deeply religious, believing in the Islamic law of Sharia. The Mughal Empire reached its zenith during Aurangzeb's rule. The territorial extent of the empire was short-lived, as revolts of subsidiary rulers challenged its integrity. By the 17th century, the Mughal Empire had lost its glory, but had left behind a political legacy few people could ignore.
So I hope, my students, that you have liked the video, and you will learn a lot of things also in this class about the Mughals who were there, and you might have gone through a lot of things in the video also. So let us continue. Let me tell you few things about the Mughals, that actually who were there. The Mughals were the descendants or the children, or you can say they were the children of two great families. They belonged to two great families. That everyone, we all also, like I also have one side of my father side, and I have one family along my mother side also. So whoever are there in my father's side, I also used to respect them, and even whoever are there from my mother's side, I used to respect them. So this is known as the descendants. So the Mughals were also the descendants of two great families. One family was from the father side and one from the mother side. So let us see who were they and who were really they. From their mother side, they were the descendants of Genghis Khan, or you can say Genghis Khan or Genghis Khan. I used to say Genghis Khan, who died in the year 1227. So from that mother side, they were from the Genghis Khan family. And who was that Genghis Khan? He was the Mongol ruler from the Mongol dynasty, who ruled over parts of China as well as Central Asia. So the Mughals were having their mother side from the Genghis Khan. And let us see who were there from their father side also. From their father side, they were the successors of Timur. So from their father side, they were Timur was there, who died in the year 1404. And Timur was the ruler of Iran, Iraq, and modern day Turkey also. So Timur was also a great man. He was the ruler of 3 different countries. You can say Iran, Iraq, and modern day Turkey also. And even Genghis Khan was the ruler of some part of the China as well as in Central Asia. So both father side and mother side, they were having the rulers, they were having the kings, king type of things in their family, and everyone was their king. So that's why the Mughals were also the kings. They ruled India for a great time also. So let us see further what happened. The Mughals did not like to be called Mughals or Mongols. But why? This is the reason. The question is that the Mughals did not like to be called Mughals or the Mongols. Now why? Why they didn't like to be called Mongols or the Mughals? वो अपने आप को मंगोल या मुगल्स कहलाना उनको पसंद नहीं होता था. Why? There is some reason. Because reason number one, Genghis Khan memory was, Genghis Khan means their mother side. Or their mother side. They belong from Genghis Khan family. So that Genghis Khan memory was associated with a massacre of innumerable people. Means there was a blame, or you can say Genghis Khan was responsible for the massacre, means that is killing or mass murder. So killing of thousands of people. So that's why they were also linked with the Uzbeks, their Mongol competitors. Means their competitors were there also, Mongol competitors were there, Uzbeks. So this Genghis Khan was associated or connected, or you can say linked with the mother of thousands of people, and that's why the Mughals or the Mongols, you can say, they did not like to be called as Mongols. So if someone will call them Mongols, then they will become angry because their memory was not very good from the Mongols, from the Genghis Khan side, because Genghis Khan was responsible for killing of thousands of people. Another thing, on the other hand, the Mughals were proud to be called Timurid ancestry. So they were very proud if they call them that they belong to Timur or they belong to Timurid dynasty, because once upon a time, Timur, the great ancestor that they have from, Timur captured Delhi in the year 1398. So that is not at least of all, but because they are great ancestors. So once in a time in the year 1398, the dynasty from the Timur dynasty, they have captured Delhi. So that is why they were very proud. Yes, once we have captured this country, and again, if someone call us regarding or calling us from the Timurid dynasty, they will call us that I belong to Timur family, then they feel proud, because once upon a time the king from Timurid dynasty captured Delhi in the year 1398. Remember this one, 1398, way back, because the Mughal dynasty started in India from the year 1526. So we are again 200 years back. We are talking about around 1400. So around, you can say 150 or 126 or plus 220 years, 28 years back, before the Mughal dynasty in India, 120 years, 26 years back, 13 in the year 1398, Delhi was captured by the Timur dynasty. So that's why the Mughals were very proud if someone used to call them what? Timurid dynasty, that they belong from Timurid dynasty. So that is the reason that they were very proud, and they were also not very not liking to be called as the Mongols or the Mughals. If someone used to call them Mughals or the Mongols, they do not like it, because their memory was quite bad, because Genghis Khan was connected with killing of thousands of people. That's why they don't want to remember. They celebrated their genealogy, that is family tree. Genealogy means what? Family tree. So what they used to do, they used to celebrate that family tree picturically. It means pictures बनवाते थे, photos बनवाते थे वो अपने तिमूर के साथ, तिमूर डायनेस्टी के लोगों के साथ, किंग्स के साथ, है ना, from that particular dynasty. Each ruler getting a picture made of Timur and himself. तो जितने भी रूलर्स आते थे वो क्या करते थे, तिमूर का फोटो और अपना फोटो साथ में बनवाते थे, है ना, पेंटर से, with the help of the painter. So they asked the artist, है ना, to make a picture, draw a picture with Timur and him and that particular ruler, so that they used to say proudly that I belong to this family, I belong to Timur family. Let us see one of the picture also. Let us see, let me show you. You can see Timur is there in the center, and all the rulers, they used to make a picture like this, including Timur. So वो ये दिखाने के लिए that I belong to Timur family, they used to include themselves in that photograph. They used to include themselves. वो अपने आप को include करते जाते थे, है ना. So you can see बहुत सारे रूलर्स यहाँ पर है, ऑल द रूलर्स आर देयर, और वो धीरे धीरे इसी पेंटिंग को धीरे धीरे बढ़ाते जाते थे. दे यूज्ड टू ऐड देमसेल्फ इन द फोटोग्राफ, इन दैट पेंटिंग, एंड दे आस्क्ड द पेंटर टू इंक्लूड देम. So they used to celebrate like this their genealogy or their family tree. They used to celebrate this one like this one. Okay.
Hope that you have liked the video, and we will meet again in our next video release of the tutorial. And if you are new to this channel, please subscribe the channel and press the bell icon to get the information of the next release of the tutorial. Please share it with your friends and others also. Thank you for the time being. Take care. Stay at home. Bye bye. Take care.